New at 5:30, he's accused of firing 26 shots from an AR-15 rifle into a public D.C. street. The U.S. Attorney's Office says they have multiple videos of him doing it.
Yeah, and you can hear it right there. And now neighbors are rightfully outraged after a judge released the defendant before trial.
When I talk about soft on crime policies and holding the public to a higher standard than the criminals, this is a perfect example. Welcome to another installment of the Connecticut Gun Bench. Today's video is brought to you by P.A.N. Firearms, LLC. P.A.N. Firearms, your NRA certification of multifaceted gun training. You can reach us at 203-300-6343 or use our website at www.panfarmsllc.com. As always, there'll be a link in the description box below. And if you like channel, like content, what I do here, you can support me with the link. Everything's appreciated. And my Connecticut residents plan on getting your personal permit. Please get your training and paperwork turned in before July 1st. As I always say, the training modification has been released, but there seems to be some gray areas and there seems to be some real shenanigans going on. If you have your permit, watch the expiration date. Don't let it expire. There's a link to the online renewal portal for the state of Connecticut for permits in the description box. Keep an eye on that. Let's talk about this. I came across this article discussing an incident that happened in D.C. with, I guess, let's call him a young scholar. For the sake of better argument. You can tell I watch too much Black conservative perspective. But this story is an example of soft on crime policies and holding the criminals to a lower standard than the law-abiding public. And I'll point out a couple other things along the way, but I'm going to talk about this right here. Now, let me show you this video first of what I am talking about.
Hear it right there. And now neighbors are rightfully outraged after a judge released the defendant before trial. Our chief investigative reporter, Eric Flack, has obtained stunning video of the alleged incident.
Yeah, so the U.S. Attorney's Office is trying to reverse the judge's decision based on what we see here, right?
Yeah, they are, Leslie, and they're trying to do it fast. The U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia has filed an emergency order to reverse the magistrate judge's decision to grant the 18-year-old shooting suspect pre-trial release. 18-year-old Amonte Moody is accused of firing 26 shots from an AR-15 semi-automatic rifle at an SUV driving away on Independence Avenue in Southeast on April 22nd. Prosecutors say the 2 a.m. incident was captured on 3 different cameras. 2 of those videos have been obtained by WUSA 9. No injuries were reported, but Moody was charged with assault with a dangerous weapon and possession of a firearm with a crime of violence. Both are felonies. Moody was initially detained after his arrest, but in a hearing last week, Magistrate Judge Lloyd Nolan granted a public defender's motion for pretrial release, placing Moody on round-the-clock home detention in Maryland with GPS monitoring and a stay-away order from occupants in the car. Monday, the U.S. Attorney's Office asked for an emergency hearing to revoke Moody's pretrial release, claiming in court documents, home confinement and GPS monitoring cannot reasonably assure the community's safety because pretrial services, which is supposed to keep tabs on Moody, only works during, quote, normal business hours. Prosecutors also say that despite defense attorney arguments which emphasize Moody's family support system and lack of criminal history, prosecutors say none of that stopped Moody from allegedly emptying that AR-15 onto a public street where, quote, any innocent passerby or resident could have fallen victim.
You heard that and you saw that. This fool walked out into the street, just out in the street, as you saw from the video, and just started arbitrarily shooting wherever. They picked him up, arrested him, and then he got let out on bond. Let me bring you back to another case where a New York man, Dexter Taylor, was an amateur gunsmith and was apparently building guns in his house. He got arrested. That man got a sentence, I think it was over, it's definitely more than 10 years. He got convicted and the judge handed down a 10-year sentence. He had committed no violent crime beyond the fact that he was making guns in his, in his domicile. And that case, if you dig in deeper into it, You're going to find out that this judge was biased right from the beginning. This is the same judge that said the Second Amendment does not exist in my courtroom and refused to let, people who are on his side, his neighbors, his family, refused to let them testify, which is amazing. But here we have this guy who he's 18 years old and had a firearm. If you look at the firearm he's holding, an 18-year-old cannot own that. But let's read about it. District of Crime, shocking case characteristic of DC approach to violence. When a reasonable person finds it impossible to take an anti-gun big city politicians and their professed need for more gun control seriously, maybe it's stories like this one from Washington, D.C. that play a role. May 8th, District of Columbia CBS affiliate WUSA published a story with astounding headlines. Prosecutors say he emptied an AR-15 rifle into a public D.C. street. A judge granted him pre-trial release. According to the item, prosecutors alleged that on April 22nd, an 18-year-old went into the middle of a public street, you saw the video, in Southeast DC with an AR-15 and fired 26 shots at a moving motor vehicle. The article pointed out that the young adult has been charged with assault with a dangerous weapon and possession of a gun during a violent crime, both are felonies. Despite the alleged outrageous conduct, the accused was granted pre-trial release. The article explained, after the accused was initially detained, Judge Lloyd Nolan granted a public defender's motion for a pretrial release, placing the accused on home detention in Maryland with GPS monitoring and a stay-at-home or stay-away order from the other people in the car. This dude emptied a firearm, probably an entire magazine, arbitrarily into a street, apparently trying to strike some people who were in another vehicle, endangering everyone in that street. He gets pretrial release. A guy in New York is building guns in his home. He gets arrested. That guy was held. Even after he was convicted, he was still held waiting sentencing. Now he's got his sentencing. This is what I am talking about. Lest anyone think that a lack of sufficient evidence may have played a role, the incident was reportedly caught on video by no less than 3 cameras, which you saw in the video. WSA obtained 2 of the videos, and readers were encouraged to watch the shocking footage here. Okay, setting aside the present incident, law-abiding gun owners get understandably frustrated when the same jurisdictions braying for more gun control take a soft touch with those who misuse firearms to harm others. The situation is even more galling when that jurisdiction in Washington, D.C., the federal enclave local government operates at the pleasure of the federal government. Exactly. When the federal government uses its vast powers to target innocuous gun owners throughout the nation while refusing to adequately confront actual violent crime in their own enclave, people have a right to be upset and a right to question the motive of those pushing even greater gun control. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and come out of that. So there it is. Here's this young scholar emptying an AR-15, a gun from, it looks like a short-barreled AR-15, which he should not have. Even if it's a pistol, once again, he should not have it. Arbitrarily firing this gun down the street, he gets released and gets to go home with an ankle monitor. Let you, the law-abiding citizen, for whatever reasons, and I hope you're not just arbitrarily shooting a gun down the street, you do something like that, they come take your permit away, as what happened to a man in LA after he defended himself against 2 armed robbers. Yes, we should be livid about nonsense like this. We should be pissed off about stuff like this. We should take this stuff personally. When these same idiots talk about gun control, but when they catch up with somebody who's actually misusing a firearm, they slap them on the wrist and put them right back out. I did a story on a guy who was a convicted felon, who was working a warehouse, who stole 50 guns, 50 handguns from that warehouse. And apparently after they caught up with him, there were still 17 guns that were basically, they had no idea where they were at that time. That guy got 3 years, which means if he behaves himself in the prison, he'll get a year, year and a half, and he'll be out again. It's stories like this that makes me clearly say that the anti-gun lobby is not serious about gun violence or gun crime. They're just using incidents to hold the law-abiding public accountable for the behavior of criminals. Because Washington, D.C. has very strict gun laws, yet here this fool is with an illegal firearm, because once again, that looks like a short-barreled AR-15 pistol to me, which at 18 you're not allowed to own. There it is. So we'll see what going forward is going to play out to be, but I cannot take the anti-gun lobby seriously, especially in cities, Chicago. Los Angeles, New York, Boston, so forth and so on, when they talk about gun control, yet they give slaps on the wrist to actual criminals committing actual crime with actual illegal firearms. I cannot take them seriously. But let me know what you think. As always, you can leave your comments in the comment section below. And as always, any statements of violence, statements that lead to violence will be removed. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you're notified the next time a video goes live. I'm going to see you on the next one. Peace.